Couples who went out for dinner last night. What conversations did you overhear from other tables? Not out to a restaurant, but I went to a flower shop in my town. Lots of men there pretty late. I say out loud, looks like we're all in the same situation, huh? A couple guys laughed, but an older man said, mine are going to my wife's grave. We all gave our condolences. Jesus. I haven't been this sloshed in years. Let's order another drink from the mouth of a very grey-haired, elderly woman. Sounds like my type of lady. They hated that the place was full of kids pretending to be in love. I'm sorry, but you're a 40-year-old in an ice cream shop. What do you expect? I like to imagine that he was sitting alone and mumbled this to himself and you overheard it. The young couple sitting next to us started out quiet but grew a bit testy when she accused him of flirting with the waitress, which, in fact, he was. It was just about the tip. Technically didn't go out for dinner with my wife since I was working. I was late and really hungry, so I figured I'd go to the nearest Subway. There was just one couple in the entire place, sitting and eating. Well, Subway isn't exactly the sexiest place for a Valentine's Day dinner. Seemed like they were in their mid-30s. No phones, no texting, just talking. After ordering my takeaway and on my way out, I heard the guy say, I promise, next year will be better. I couldn't hear anything after that, but the girl was smiling. I was really happy that there are people out there who are trying despite of their personal financial problems. There is still hope for this world. My girlfriend and I are both broke, so we dressed up real fancy and ordered takeout after cleaning the apartment up a bit and setting some ambience. So far, best Valentine's Day. Gay couple was talking about all the cool clubs they would go to and about guys that they had both had sex with. They were also really knowledgeable about wine. This is so accurate it hurts. Overheard this last night from the table behind me. Him, do you like rice? Her, I dunno really. What's it made out of? Him, potato I think. Her, no I don't like it then. My toes nearly burst through the bottom of my shoes. I was that freaking angry. They were made for each other. Not out to dinner, but we had another couple over for pizza and a movie. Note, we are old. I heard my friend, the woman, sigh loudly during the movie, so I got up and asked her to help me in the kitchen. She then revealed how much she loathes watching movies with her husband and she didn't know what to do about such a simple complaint. But she's been watching movies at home with her husband every weekend for the past 35 years. Never too late to change. I had no idea what to say to her. Why wouldn't she suggest some other activities then? Go on a walk, out to eat, play board games. The list is endless. I went for a pizza last night. While I was waiting, a man seated next to me asked me if I ordered the heart pizza. I say no bro, just a regular one. You, and he said yeah, my wife loves it. I told him that was cool and I wished him and her wife a happy Valentine's Day. He said thanks. She loved this holiday. She now celebrates it in company of God. I felt really bad for that man, but at least he was kind of optimist about his loss. That is the sweetest thing ever, and also super sad. What do you mean you had someone on the side and she's pregnant? How the woman said that as calmly as she did without just beating the dude in the head till the white meat showed. I don't know. The funny sad thing was that he was hitting way above his league. I'll tell her while we're out for dinner on Valentine's. There's no way she'll get violent in a crowded restaurant. There will be too many witnesses. Calamari, crispy bacon onion rings, pineapple upside down cake. If these ring-shaped foods are an indicator of what you may try after our dinner, Charles, I will crap a circle on your plate and walk out on you. I swear to God. I would like to talk more about these bacon onion rings. When I went to the restaurant, I overheard tons of couples saying the same stuff. He must be very sad, going to the restaurant alone, or he's been sitting there for a while now. Think he's waiting on someone. The 50-something-year-old guy, after getting the bill. Wow, this is an expensive place. His 50-something-year-old wife. Well, it is Valentine's Day, and I'm worth it. Guy, going completely pale in the face. It's Valentine's Day. Dude, there are flowers on every table and balloons that say Happy Valentine's Day all over the restaurant. Come on. I like this because he's taken her out for something nice without the sometimes forced expectation to do something special on Valentine's. Thumbs up, dude. I didn't overhear this at a restaurant. I was in an emergency room. I was being treated for a dog bite when a young girl, college age, and her girlfriend came in and sat at the bed next to me. It looked like she had maybe been in a fight or perhaps had an accident on a bike. Physical injuries. The doctors pulled the little hanging curtains between our beds and I presume started to examine her. Since there was only the hanging curtain between us, I could hear everything she told the doc. Apparently she had taken a nasty spill down some stairs. Doctor leaves and then I can hear the girl and her girlfriend quietly talking. It's very clear that the girlfriend of the injured girl is telling her to tell the doctor what actually happened. I can't recall every detail of what they said, but it was very clear that the boyfriend of the injured girl was responsible for her injuries and the friend wanted her to tell the doctors the truth. The injured girl was refusing to comply, saying things like it won't happen again. From the bits I heard, this wasn't the first time it had happened. Now in my room, the tech comes back to resume cleaning out my wound. I make eye contact with him and motion him closer so I can whisper in his ear. It's the boyfriend while I motion to the room next to me. He gets what I'm saying, nods, leaves. No less than 30 seconds later, the injured girl's doctor walks into her room and blatantly asks where you assaulted, quiet, then tears. Doctor leaves the room, looks at me, says thank you and walks away. I have no idea whatever happened. By the time I was leaving, the two officers were in her space and were talking with her much more softly than before, so I couldn't hear much. That's my only eavesdropping story. I hope I helped the girl and that she got out. I also worry that things only got worse with her once the cops got involved. I'll never know. You are a hero, sir. Not at a restaurant, but yesterday I overheard passerbys discussing whether they could do laundry by dumping all their clothes in a swimming pool and doing cannonballs into it to agitate it. Then they discussed whether they should dump the clothes in loose in the water, or try to wear all their dirty clothes at once. I like those people. It was just awkward. This was at a fine dining Asian fusion place. So and I easily spent over $100 on dinner. Right beside us was a couple that looked like they were in high school. Boy looks rich based on clothes. The girl opened the menu and exclaimed, "Wow, everything is so expensive." She ordered a California roll, which, if you come to this restaurant, ordering a California roll is kind of a waste, and some sashimi, and he had a plate of some seafood. After receiving their food, they were quiet most of their dinner. I felt slightly bad for the girl because it seemed like it was a first date and she looked a little out of her comfort zone. Anyway, when they were done eating their main meal, high school girl asks, "So how was your food?" He says it's not bad. Nothing like Cancun though, with this crap eating grin. She laughed kind of awkwardly and their conversation died again. Went to a fairly nice Japanese restaurant about 45 minutes from my house. One of those where the chef cooks in front of you and you're sat with total strangers. The chef was super cool and making plenty of jokes. He told the setup for a joke and the woman sitting across from me said, "I don't care about your jokes. Just cook my food right." The chef laughed it off like it was a joke, but the guy next to me did what we all wanted to. He looks at the chef and said, "It's a shame we can see you cook so you can't spit up that TS food." We all laughed except for the tea. She just acted like it never happened. Hibachi, those places are legit. Didn't hear much but saw something strange. We were sitting next to a table that had one very wealthy looking man and two women in very skimpy clothes. They were both wearing tight red dresses with knee-high boots. I can only assume that it was a man and his two ladies of the night. I just can't figure out why he would be with two younger women on Valentine's Day in a nice restaurant. Besides that, it was pretty interesting to say the least. I can't think of worse ways to spend Valentine's. Couple that was in the table next to us. Guy asks, "What do you think of abortion?" I'm over here thinking to myself, seriously, you're out on a Valentine's Day dinner and that's the first question you ask? He then proceeded to talk a little about religion and politics. His date was not really conversing with him, just sometimes saying yes or no. Nice of him to put all the red flags right up front for her. This group of 3 guys were sitting at the bar next to us. One of them didn't shut up the whole time. His friends had a "dude will you be quiet" look on their faces. Anyway, the story that stands out is, pizza delivery guy had showed up by his house. For some reason the delivery guy got out of the car and started chasing someone, leaving pizzas and money in the car. His neighbors were out and they got in the car and stole all the money and pizzas. We went to a tapas restaurant. The guy sitting at the table next to us kept saying, "I thought you said topless restaurant." I heard nothing as next to us was a female on her own. It didn't look as though she had been stood up and seemed perfectly happy eating alone. That is a bold move on Valentine's Day in a candlelit restaurant. Fair play. Loud and violent arguing. So bad that the manager had to ask them to leave. But it all went well for me, because I proposed and she said yes. Went to a Japanese hibachi style restaurant where you sit with ex-people around the grill. A younger couple beside us talked about people they knew from school. Couldn't tell if it was a first date, friend date, or if they were a long-time couple. Weird and funny thing was that she wanted everything clean, no sauces at all, and didn't want vegetables. They brought her steamed rice from the kitchen. She didn't want the appetizer shrimp, because of soy sauce, maybe. She ordered only chicken. It threw the poor chef off his game at first, but he eventually made up for it by asking her if she wanted this or that each time he cooked something different and threatening to toss a mushroom on her plate, etc. Finally, he cooked her chicken, and she did allow him to use butter. We all clapped. I can't imagine living the life of a picky eater, or being allergic to many kinds of foods. At that point, I might as well not bother eating out. But I guess her so insisted to take her out on this special day, so that's always nice. People next to us in the restaurant might have heard my wife and I going through the first date questions from the thread the other day. This happened on Valentine's Day a few years ago at a restaurant I used to work at. It was a busy night when I noticed that an old acquaintances from high school showed up. This girl was always very mature for her age, and I remember her frankly talking about losing her virginity at the age of 16 in one of our psychology classes. So while her date goes to the bathroom, I stop by to say hello and to quickly catch up. She told me that this date's kind of dull, that this guy isn't getting any when they get back to his place. All of this was said very matter-of-factly, by the way. I wish her the best and went off to do my work. The correct response was, "Well, I get off at 10. Maybe you will too." Sadly, nothing. An older couple, I'd ballpark them around 70, seated next to us ate their meals in complete silence. I'd like to believe they've developed some kind of telepathy after having been together for decades, but they just seemed so sad. Sad enough that after they left, my boyfriend said, "I don't ever want us to become that." Maybe they were entertained by listening to you guys. My girlfriend and I are currently long distance, so my Chinese roommate was screaming Overwatch tactics while I tried to enjoy my virtual dinner with the missus. GG get gut Junkrat. The couple on one side of us spent 90% of dinner with their noses in their respective phones in absolute silence. The other 10% was him bitching about the food. It was a really interesting fixed price menu with a lot of extremely tasty stuff I'd never tried before. And the portion sizes, no crap Sherlock. It's 9 courses. They are going to be relatively small. Full stop. The couple on the other side of us sat on the same side of their booth, all snuggled up to each other and were really cute, whispering to each other and smiling. They were probably talking about shocking stuff they were going to do to each other later on. Went to a place downtown that's apparently popular with young lawyer couples, so a lot of ex-client this and Y case being settled out of court. Partner Z is riding my butt about A type stuff. Apparently the bear account is a real pain in the butt. Ended up at the emergency wing, so no other dining tables to overhear, but we could hear everything from the curtained off sections in there. My girlfriend tried to sleep it off while on the bed, but some of the noises were scary, some scandalizing, and some outright hilarious. I hope revealing this is an acceptable intrusion on privacy. 1. Guy, mid-60s, was there with his wife. When the nurse came around to check for him, he complained that his bed was damp. The nurse asked him, quite loudly, "Actually, is something leaking?" followed by, "Where did this come from?" followed by, "From your penis?" Safe to say my GF didn't care about her pain anymore. She just wanted to get fo and shot me daggers for laughing. 2. This was pretty late at night. I'd say around 3 AM or so. Some guy was in there with his friends. He didn't get a bed in the emerg, so they crowded a couple of seats. One of his friends, a girl, was rather obnoxiously loud talking about useless things. Then I heard the most satisfying sentiment come from one curtained off beds when a man, clearly unimpressed by what the girl had to say, shouted, "Shut the frick up." It was glorious. I think everyone said a silent thank you to him. I know I did. I'd type more but I have to run for class. Safe to say it was a most unique Valentine's Day. Not last night, but a few years ago, my wife and I went out to eat and drinks at the bar. This older looking lady came in with this guy that looked much younger. She started drinking heavily and was loud. She was hitting on the bartender and the guys around her. The dude that she was with seemed like he wasn't fazed at all. They get seated behind us and she's hitting on the waiter and is all over the dude that she's with. At one point my wife got up to use the restroom, and when she got back, she was moving her hand back and forth under the table and he had a huge smile on his face. Assuming that she didn't puke, they probably had a great time later. That same night we saw a guy sitting by himself at a table with a flower. We were very curious about his story and we really hoped he didn't get stood up. Fix the spelling. The single flower thing is very popular for blind dates. At a jazz improvisation night in Amsterdam on Valentine's Day, I brought some sweet shorts for you. They are so short and sweet. I want a pair of shorts where you can see my penis. A little bit. Only a little bit. It was obvious he meant a lot. He wants a pair of shorts where you can see a lot of penis. Not gonna lie, as a gay dude, skimpy track shorts are kinda sexy. Two couples at the table next to us. One of the girls led a guy in with a blindfold on. Intriguing. They order drinks. He still has the blindfold on. Funny. Dinner is served. Guy is fumbling around with the utensils trying to eat his chimichanga. Much of it gets on his shirt. Sad. He took it off after dinner though. None of us could not figure out what it was. Sounds like he asked her for a sandwich and she made him a sub. Girl comes back from the bathroom and says to her date, "I'm your bloody Valentine." He said, "So you got your period?" Maybe they were having a pregnancy scare and that was the answer they were waiting for, and it made it the best Valentine's ever. LOL. We stayed in this year. After driving home after work in what seemed like double the traffic, we both agreed frozen pizza and beer at home was perfectly romantic. Last year though, we went out and we managed to pick a restaurant that had quite a few groups of singles in the bar area. There was one loud, drunk woman with her friend talking to the bartender about how she married and divorced the same man 4 times. She was in the middle of divorce number 4. And then a group of 3 guys came in. One was in the middle of a divorce and was fairly angry that his soon-to-be ex stayed home all day and never put out. His friend sat there stuck listening to this man viciously spew absolute hatred to that woman. Normally my husband and I talk and joke throughout dinner, but we sat there quietly listening to all these people around us, talking with our eyes. Did you just hear that? I eyebrowed back. I know. I love it when the conversation antics of the people around you are so entertaining you don't want to talk to each other. One of the neighboring tables had used a $20 voucher from a local hotel, so the waiter knew they were from out of town. Before the couple left, the waiter asked what they had planned for the rest of the evening, assuming they might go see the sights in Niagara Falls, and the man replied, "We're heading back the hotel so I can tie up my wife and have crazy animal sex." Needless to say, we both almost choked on our steak. There were 2 small families near our table that we overheard. The first family was a mom, a dad, and a little boy of about 7 or 8. They all talked together, and while they were waiting for the check, both the mom and the dad were helping their son finish his coloring page. The second family had a mom, a dad, and a little girl. The dad was basically surrounded by wine glasses and had a huge glass of beer before we left. The little girl had a tablet and the dad would yell at her if she stood up or tried to talk to him or the mom. The mom mostly talked to the dad or occasionally helped the girl eat her steak. 2 similar families. 2 possible dynamics. I heard the little girl at the table next to us sing a song she learned in school to the waitress, backed by her younger sister. That's kind of sweet. Okay, off by a week, but it was the GF's birthday. We went out and a couple behind us was a 60-70 plus couple, and it was nothing but the woman berating the man as they don't do anything anymore other than watch TV. Even on a trip to our town, we live in an out of the way area, they've done nothing but stay in the hotel. I was completely detracted, partially because it was so interesting, and partially because it was louder than the GF. Although she says she heard none of it, I was transfixed. I don't know how it ended because they left without me knowing, but it reminded me of fights my folks had 10 odd years ago, where my dad had to make more of an effort to meet my mother's do things lifestyle, and a similar conversation with the GF where I need to do the same now. Anyway, Valentine's went great, even though I was 4 hours late due to work, and we just ended up scrapping the whole thing to let me vent about my week. Thanks for asking. Sat at a table next to a woman, black and African American, and her date went on a tirade about how Asian people were all racist against black people and will scheme and trick them out of money because they don't want to steal the money of their own race. She used an example of how every Asian Rand store will discriminate against black people so they can't ever make returns, and how she should have the right to change her mind about any product and return it for a full refund. She then started talking about how Asian immigrants are taught how to handle blacks when they move to America, and that's why they always try and rip them off. And that the only reason why the average person doesn't know about this huge conspiracy is because they all always speak Asian to each other so no one can understand them. I'm looking forward to the headline that breaks that the KKK has inducted its first black member. For note, everything in quotes were her words, not mine. My friend is a first-generation American from a Korean family. His mother was on her deathbed when she asked my friend to do it right because his brother came so close by marrying a Chinese girl. Asian people can be some racist moffas, but that couple was paranoid AF. Well, if you mean going out as in we ate in the dining room as opposed to in front of the TV per usual, then yes, the conversation we overheard was loud and relentless. Apparently, 2 other patrons of our establishment were very upset that we were eating without them being present, and loudly barked for an hour. I called for the manager to come over, but we don't have one at our house, so the cat sauntered over and hissed at them. They refused to be intimidated. Finally, we decided our only course of action was to let the dogs into the dining room, and then they had the audacity to beg for portions of our food. How brazen. The utter nerve. We will never eat there again. Well, okay, maybe when the next holiday comes. Ha, my dogs were total buttholes last night, too. One of them grabbed the steak off my plate and ran down the hall with it. If you are new to the channel, you can subscribe. I publish new videos every day. Until then, check another video. Bye for now.